Yogah Karmasu Kaushalam.
Today, we are going to talk about what is communication, and my name is Dr. Vikrant Jain. I'm going to let you know how communication can be useful to our lives. But because not everybody belongs to the field of communication, it's imperative for us to understand the nuances of the communication, the fundamentals of communication, and then we can proceed with the communication chapter as a part of our refresher program. So let's start without doing much ado or without wasting much time what communication is. So communication is primarily bifurcated into two parts. The one part is verbal communication and the another part is non-verbal communication. The verbal communication consists of words, and these words can be in the form of oral and written communication. So we can see over here the communication can be verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Under verbal communication we have oral communication and written communication. So if I talk about the oral channels, possibly talking on a mic or a face-to-face communication or an interview is an example of oral channel. Similarly, if I talk about written channels, email communication, memos, notices, circulars, letters, minutes of meetings are few examples of written communication channels. What should be your strategy when you're deciding the communication? Your strategy should be very simple. Here we can see some words such as livid, euphoria, exultant, endeavor, ascertain. Our communication is incomplete without words. I'll let you know how to remember maximum words with the help of roots, prefixes and suffixes. Meanwhile, let me carry forward to the content, that is communication. So I'll start with the first category of communication, that is non-verbal communication, that includes plethora or many forms of communication. Uh, how does the body speak? And when I talk about the non-verbal communication in which words are not included, that form of communication is called as body language. The first category in the non-verbal communication that we can talk about is non-verbal communication. In the non-verbal communication, we have body language, which is also called as kinesics. We can see over here the photograph of Mr. Barack Obama, who is known to be a very good speaker and he is very good at body language. Similarly, our Honorable Prime Minister is also a very good speaker and knows how to use body language. So like any spoken language, body language has words, sentences, punctuation, to name a few. Each gesture is like a single word, and one word may have different meanings. We are going to talk about the body language in the coming slides and in the coming uh, series of lectures also. So let me go further with the next category. Messages sent through haptics. What is haptics? Haptics is communication with touch or gestures, which are also called as facial expressions and touch, kinesthetics or body language, and posture, proxemics, that is physical distance, oculesics, that is eye contact, and all types of nonverbal communication. Similarly, when you speak, the voice, the volume, the pace, the rate, this helps you to speak in a certain way, and this is called as paralanguage. As we can see over here, each speech contains non-verbal elements such as paralanguage, voice quality, rate, pitch, volume, speaking style, as well as prosodic features such as rhythm, intonation, and stress. Let me go further. You can see the example over here that one of the figure is very excited while one of the figure is very dull, one of the figure is sad, one is running, and one is jumping with joy. These are all different expressions, and you can give different body postures and gestures with the help of different face expressions. So let's go further. There are different statistics available, but more or less every statistic speaks the same. We have 7% spoken words, 38% voice tone, that is paralanguage, and 55% is body language. Only 7% of a message affect carried by the words. The other 93% means non-verbal language. It means our majority of communication is done by non-verbal communication. In fact, when we enter in a place, people observe us, what we do, what we speak, what we say, and that exactly is the non-verbal communication. Let me go further. The biggest example of a non-verbal communication is Mr. Bean. I hope everybody remembers this character. This character doesn't speak a single word. It is very synonymous to the character that we have seen being played by Mr. Charlie Chaplin. In the days when we had cinema that was mute, never carried words, and the cinema was largely a medium of communication with no words, body language acted as an important tool of communication. Initially, Charlie Chaplin enjoyed a huge success, and later, Mr. Bean, who enjoyed a huge success because of the character that he plays, not only satirical but humorous also in a certain way. So the biggest example of non-verbal communication is Mr. Bean. Series, the only person who doesn't utter a word and still easily accomplish his objective of making people laugh, and the people who is watching the episode get easily understand what he wants to say. Let me go further. This is the picture of Mr. Bean. If you are not able to recall, you can now recall who Mr. Bean is. You can see these different images of Mr. Bean. Now what Mr. Bean is doing is something worth noticing. The first photograph from the left hand side, you can see where the cursor is Mr. Bean has opened his eyes wide open. That means he is astonished to see something. In the second image towards right, you can see that he is a bit surprised, more or less annoyed. Then we can see he is irritated in the third picture, and in the fourth picture we can see that he is making faces at something that he doesn't wishes to happen or doesn't likes to happen. So let me go further. First, we can see over here the category of communication is kinesics. I think it's imperative for everybody to note down. Kinesics means body language. The next is proxemics. Now what is proxemics? Proxemics is closeness to a person. That means communication with the help of space, communication with the help of distance is called as proxemics. Now a lot of time this idea comes to our mind what proxemics is all about. So let's understand that there is a certain distance that is kept between two chairs in a cinema hall. There is certain amount of leg space that is being given to the people in the cinema hall. That is an example of proxemics. Similarly, chronomics. Now what is chronomics? Chronomics is the communication with respect to time. So for example, there is a technology that is being invented by Japanese, and that technology is called as just in time, JIT. So Japanese believe that they should not come too early nor late to any event. They believe to reach just in time. Whereas Europeans are very particular about time, they come 5-10 minutes early than what is scheduled. While in the South Asian countries, it's very common to be late for an occasion. The next is oculesics, the communication that is done through eyes. We all convey a lot of emotions through our eyes. For example, anger, happiness, excitement, anxiety, to name a few. Next is olfactics, that is communication with the help of smell. A lot of crime detective agencies, they use smell in terms of searching the proofs. In fact, there is a huge industry of deodorants that has emerged in the last 20-30 years because suddenly smell has become a huge profitable business. The next is paralanguage, that is vocal tone, pitch, rhythm, loudness, and inflections. And haptics is the communication with respect to touch. So we can see that nowadays even young children who are going to kindergarten are taught what is meant by good touch and what is meant by bad touch. Touch can be used for appreciating someone, and touch can be used for negatively as well. However, it is on the communicator how he or she wants to use the communication of touch. So here are a few examples of kinesics, proxemics, and chronomics. Whether you talk about reaching a meeting, or let's say you have a distance between someone, it speaks either about kinesics, proxemics, or chronomics. So facial expressions, gestures, they are a part of body language. Eye movements, which is also called as oculesics, is further a part of kinesics, that is body language. So what are facial expressions that can be used and how eyes can be useful? Someone is angry, the eyebrow will be lower and that person stare intensely. Similarly, if there is a lot of fear, the eyes will be round and open mouth. Disgust, wrinkled nose and lowered eyelids. Surprise, raised eyebrows, wide open eyes and open mouth. Happiness, round eyes, smiles and raised cheeks. So these are few facial expressions and expressions being done with the help of eyes, which is oculesics, that can help you to understand how a facial expression or oculesics will work. Similarly, we have these faces. The first face is a normal face, a smiling face. The second one is actually laughing. The third one is doubting something. The fourth one is shouting at someone. The fifth one is a very normal face, a neutral face. The sixth one seems to be overdosed or something. The seventh one has a very dull look. The next one is actually trying to, uh, play a prank with someone or possibly try to tease someone. And the last one is the expression of feeling sorry for something, or let's say a feeling of helplessness in a certain way. So let me go further. Here we have gesture, that is openness, confidence. So somebody who is having openness will always have his palms open. Eye contact, that somebody who is open will always have an eye to eye contact, will smile at people and will be relaxed. Similarly, when somebody is indifferent, somebody who is closed, having a closed body language, will always keep either legs or hands closed, shaking one foot, yawning, and fidgeting with things. So never yawn at public meetings or office meetings. Never fidget with your fingers or things which are lying on the table. Avoid yawning as far as possible and avoid crossing your legs at the same time. Whereas open-handed communication, keeping your hands open while talking to people, having an open palm position, direct eye contact, a look that says that you are interested to know people, a friendly smile, and a relaxed body language is a good gesture to start a meeting. Similarly, these are a few gestures that you can see done with the help of hands. So, in European countries, the one is being named with thumb, whereas in Asian or Indian context, the 1 is being shown by the index finger. Similarly, if something is perfect, your index finger is up and then your middle finger joins the thumb. However, in certain countries in Asia, this also means 0. So let me go further. Perfect, thumbs up, stop, the fig. Let me talk about the first image that you can see over here is something that is good. Commonly everything all right, perfect. France worthless. So what it means in different countries, the sign that you can see, the perfect sign that you can see over here. In France it means worthless. In Japan it means money. In Germany it means rude. In Malta, Greece and Brazil it means obscene. Similarly, we have thumbs up, which means commonly all okay. In Australia and rude. In Australia and Iran, it's considered to be rude. In Nigeria, very offensive. In Japan, it means 5. In Turkey, it means political and rightist party. Similarly, a symbol of open palm asking people to stop means commonly stop for anyone. In Turkey, you get nothing from me. And in West Africa, you have 5 fathers. Similarly, the fig in Turkey, Greece, Tunisia, and Holland, it means obscene. In Russia, that is Rus, you get nothing from me. In Yugoslavia, you can't have it. And in Brazil, it means good luck. Let me go next, Proxemics. Now, Proxemics is the communication language with respect to space or distance. A lot of time there are a lot of questions. In fact, an intriguing one in our minds, that on what basis do we keep a certain distance? For example, in parking, the parking slots are being made in such a manner that you can park certain amount of vehicles there. So there is a fixed space that is being created. Similarly, there is a certain kind of setup to sit in a school, while the setup is slightly different in colleges. And moreover, the similar setup is different in offices. So the communication or the change of setup with respect to sitting positions and distance between two people is called as proxemics. When I have my very close friends and family members talking to me, they usually enter into an intimate space zone, which is also called as intimate distance, that is 0 to 15 inches from the speaker. Similarly, there is personal space or personal zone, that is the distance from the speaker to the other person is 15 inches to 4 feet, sorry. And then comes social distance, where the distance between the speaker and the listener is 4 to 12 feet. And last but not least, the distance between uh, the, the speaker and the audience is 12 feet or more. This is usually happening in the public rallies. Social distance you can usually observe in the community gatherings also. So here we can see 4 zones. The first is intimate, the second is personal, the third is social, and the fourth is public. You can see over here the different 4 zones. The first is intimate space zone, that is 0 to 1.5. Then comes personal space, that is 1.5 to 4. Then comes social space, 4 to 12. And then comes public space, that is 12 plus. You can't stop time. This an indicator of chronomics, that is communication with respect to time. A lot of people must have wondered that why do we have movies of somewhere around 2 to 3 hours? Someone might have wondered that why do we have the duration of the examination from 2 to 3 hours. Someone might have wondered that why time plays an important role in communicating with people. We have 24 hours. In fact, each one of us has 24 hours. And therefore, the time is distributed within these hours. When we communicate, a lot of context is time related. And therefore, time is an integral part of communication that is also called as one of the important areas of communication, chronomics. Let's understand further chronomics. Chronomics is the study of how human beings communicate through the use of time. The time can be circular time, linear time, technical time, formal time, and informal time. Let's go further. Non-verbal signs vary from culture to culture. You can see over here. We have the first photo on the left hand corner, upper left hand corner. That is a Japanese culture where they bow each other in terms of wishing each other. Then we have our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who is joining both of his hands, which is Namaste. We can see the Russian President, Mr. Vladimir Putin, who is talking or meeting his counterpart. And then we have the Western style of meeting people, which is seen in the last quadrant in the picture. Let's go further. Some interesting expressions over here. So we can see that somebody has kept finger just below the neck, or we can see another expression. We can see expression of joining hands. We can see a tensed expression. We can see somebody's feeling drowsy or sleepy. We can see the groggy eyes over here in the first left hand side picture at bottom. A person is sleepy and having groggy eyes. Then we can see a lady over here, and then we can see the former president of United States of America, Mr. George Bush, winking his eyes. Similarly, this is a famous picture that been taken from the History Channel. We can understand the power position from the people with the way they are sitting. And this is a small activity that we usually do with the offline sessions. But we'll stop over here. And I'll be jumping on to the next topic of communication. So just give me a moment and I'm switching to the another topic.
In you the difference between verbal and non-verbal communication. So friends, let's get started. After watching this video, you will be able to understand what is communication, what is the process of communication, and what are its types. What is verbal communication and its types. What is non-verbal communication and what are the types of non-verbal communication. Lastly, what is the difference between verbal and non-verbal communication. Now come, let's understand the meaning of communication. Communication is the process of interacting with people. No matter whether you speak something or not, but your behavior, attitude or body language conveys a message to the other party, meaning that communication is not dependent on words. It is possible even without the use of words. So now we are going to understand the process of communication. In the process of communication, the sender encodes a message through a proper channel, that is email, phone, SMS, etc., to the receiver. The receiver decodes the message and after interpreting it, gives a proper feedback through a proper channel to the sender. So in this way the process of communication continues. So now we are going to understand the types of communication. So on the basis of channel, there are two types of communication: verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Come, let's understand the meaning of verbal communication. The communication in which we use words and language to communicate the intended message to the other party is called verbal communication. It can be performed in two ways. that is oral communication and written communication. Oral communication is a communication through spoken words, that is face-to-face communication, voice chat, video conferencing, or communication over the telephone or mobile phone. On the other hand, written communication entails the use of letters, documents, emails, SMS, various chat platforms, social media, etc. to interact with people. What is non-verbal communication? Non-verbal communication is a wordless communication, as it does not use words. The communication takes place through signals such as facial expressions, body language, nodding of head, gestures, postures, eye contact, physical appearance, and so forth. Now let's understand the types of non-verbal communication. Kinesics. The communication through body language, facial expressions, gestures, postures, eye contacts is called as kinesics. In artifacts, you learn how the appearance of a person speaks a lot about his personality. That is, the way he or she is dressed, accessories carried by him, etc. Proxemics. The distance maintained by a person while communicating with another tells you a lot about their relationship. Chronomics is the use of time in communication. It tells you about how punctual or disciplined a person is, or how serious the person is regarding the matter. Vocalics. The volume, tone of voice, and pitch used by the sender to transmit information is called vocalics. Haptics. The use of touch in communication to express emotions and feelings is called haptics. Come, let's discuss the difference between verbal and non-verbal communication. Meaning, verbal communication is the process of communication in which words and language is used to transmit the message to another person. Whereas in non-verbal communication, we do not use words. Instead, we use signals to transmit the message. The signals can be facial expressions, eye contact, body language, paralanguage, sign language, etc. Next, in verbal communication, the transmission of message is very fast and feedback can also be provided instantly. Whereas non-verbal communication relies on the understanding of the receiver, so it consumes a lot of time. When it comes to delivery of message, there are very less chances of confusion in case of verbal communication. Contrary to this, the chances of confusion and misunderstanding are relatively high in non-verbal communication. In verbal communication, the presence of both the parties, that is sender and receiver, at the place of communication is not necessary. As against, in non-verbal communication, the presence of both the parties at the time of communication is a must. The best thing about verbal communication is that the message can be clearly understood and feedback can also be provided immediately. Whereas, the best thing about non-verbal communication is that it complements verbal communication. That is, it helps in understanding the lifestyle and emotions of the sender. Okay guys, this is all for this video. Now if you want to study the topic in detail, you can visit our official website, that is keydifferences.com.
Let's start about LinkedIn and networking. The communication topic is about communication networking, and it is widely said that network is equal to net worth. So let's understand how network helps to create a net worth, and why LinkedIn is a very important tool in order to propagate ourselves in the field of marketing. So the best marketing is self-marketing. Let's understand why LinkedIn can be the best tool. It's been said that Facebook may be the largest social networking site in the world today, but LinkedIn is the ultimate professional social networking site. It was founded way back in 2002, and it is a tribute to its utility and dominance with its niche in social media. It has almost 740 million members with over 55 million registered companies. That's huge. In fact, every company is registered now. 40% access to it on a daily basis and clocking up over 1 billion interactions every month. Users only spend 70 minutes on LinkedIn per month. So despite spending only 70 minutes, you can see the utility and the importance of LinkedIn over here. What Pew Research Center says, it remains popular with college students. LinkedIn statistics reveal that 50% of college grads in the US are LinkedIn users. Only 9% of people whose education doesn't surpass high school. 40% of LinkedIn users take home more than $75,000 per year, which is the above national median in the US. Although the US has the most LinkedIn users at 176 million, over 75% of the LinkedIn users are from outside of the US. Men comprise of 57% of its user base, and millennials make up over 60% of the LinkedIn's user base, with 11 million of the 87 millennial decision making positions. Let's try to understand further. LinkedIn revenue. The LinkedIn revenue, let's talk about the financial data, that what makes LinkedIn is so relevant and critical. The Microsoft, recognizing the value of LinkedIn, acquiring the company for $26.2 billion in 2016. A total of 39% of LinkedIn users pay for LinkedIn Premium, which has four price tiers, which is first is $29.99, which is a good amount to be paid. Next is Premium Business, which is still higher, that's $59.99 per month. Then comes Sales Navigator Pro, that is $79.99 per month, and then comes Recruiter Lite. Let me go further. Generating leads on LinkedIn. The HubSpot found that LinkedIn has 277% more effective at generating leads than Facebook or Twitter. So you can see a clear demarcation, that 2.74% by LinkedIn and 0.77% by Facebook, and Twitter is at the last at 69%. So you get leads, you get people, you get contacts, you get network with the help of LinkedIn. Given this, it's no surprise that 79% of the marketers see LinkedIn as a perfect source, with 43% of marketers saying that they have sourced at least one customer from LinkedIn. So people spend time on markets, but they invest time on LinkedIn. 79% of B2B, that is business to business marketers, believe social media is an effective marketing channel. 80% of B2B leads come from LinkedIn. Let's go further. Why LinkedIn? More than 55 million companies listed on the site and 14 million jobs. It's no surprise to find out that 87% of the recruiters regularly use LinkedIn. In fact, a study found that 122 million people received an interview through LinkedIn, with 35.5 million having been hired by a person they connected with on the site. It is surprising that people, 3 people are hired through LinkedIn every minute. LinkedIn saw 6 times, so 6 multiplication increase in the number of remote job postings. Let's talk about the attrition and movement. One good LinkedIn statistics for recruiters is that employees sourced through the site are 40% less likely to leave the company within the first 6 months. So people hired through LinkedIn are going to stay more and attrition is less. According to LinkedIn, women now represent nearly 42% of the company's leadership, with those in technical leadership roles growing 79% in the last 5 years. New features: the ability to add swipe up links to LinkedIn stories, giving more visibility to your content. So you have more visibility if you use LinkedIn. The hashtag hiring and hashtag open to work frames can be applied to your profile picture to let the potential candidates or employers know your current status. Hashtag in comments are now being indexed by LinkedIn. which means you now see results that contain comments when searching for hashtags. This makes the use of hashtags more important. The next comes content creators. You see the world's best content creators on LinkedIn, articles which can be posted on your profile or on LinkedIn Pulse, links to your website, slideshows, and videos are amongst the most popular types of content LinkedIn users post. In 2019, LinkedIn sessions increased 25% over year with 358 billion feed updates viewed. LinkedIn drives 46% of the social traffic to B2B sites and is considered to be the most credible source of content. 98% of content marketers use LinkedIn for content marketing, especially B2B marketing and lead generation. So we have tried to understand the content creators. Let's go with the OKDoc study. Analyzed more than 3,000 LinkedIn posts, found that how to and list posts performed best, especially those with titles that had 40 to 49 characters. Additionally, it found that posts with 5 headings had the most views. It also revealed that long form content, that is 1900 to 2000 words, performed the best, as well as content with 8 images. Images improve your post, including photos, increases content comment rate by 98%. The content published on Thursday tends to perform the best. So if you want to publish an article, if you want to publish a blog, if you want to post something, let's say if you're doing this activity once in a week, then Thursday can be the best day for you. Here are top 10 influencers. The first is Mayur Gupta, Chief Marketing and Strategy Officer at Gannett. Stephen Wolfe Pereira, CEO and co-founder. Mita Malik, Head of Inclusion, Equity and Impact Carta. Katie Michel, Head of Marketing, UserLib. Matt Kerbel, VP Marketing Home. Jabari Khan, SVP Marketing. Amy Keen, founder of Six Things Impossible and Culture. Noel Mack, Chief Brand Officer at Gymshark. And String Nguyen, founder of Trusted Voice. And Apolline Adiju, Digital Marketing Manager of Detail Online. So these are the influencers. LinkedIn video is a victory. Mark Zuckerberg proclaimed that video is the next mega trend, with platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Snapchat make it easier for users to upload video content. 59% of the executives said they would choose consume content via video. So instead of posting simple type content, or let's say images, it would be better if you can post a LinkedIn video. So 54% of senior executives share work-related videos with colleagues at least weekly, and 59% of senior executives agree that if both text and video are available on the same topic, on the same page, they prefer to watch the video. So let's understand what video marketing is all about and how it is working in favor of the LinkedIn and the people who are using it. We can see the graph effectiveness of select video marketing. So we can see that YouTube is the largest platform for videos, and YouTube has done the wonderful thing. So YouTube is the largest platform for any video, and YouTube is the largest platform where videos are watched. So 78% videos. Similarly, Facebook stands with 58.5%. Webinar stands with 37.9%. Instagram stands with 32.3%. LinkedIn stands with 28.1%. The Twitter stands with 27.6%. The Facebook Live stands with 25.8%. Interactive video stands with 16.2%. 360-degree video stands with 9.6%. The virtual reality, that is 9.2%, and Snapchat stands with minus 3.1%. So allow native videos to be uploaded through the mobile app, users to see a more human side of business. Effective platforms for video marketing, though only 28% of marketers agree. LinkedIn reports that users spend 3 times more time watching videos than viewing static content, and videos were shared 20 times more than any other type of content. So it's very evident. And final thoughts, social media platform will continue to dominate from about 3 million users banking into 9 million impressions per month, and it's growing. So where are we? Are we on LinkedIn or not? It's a question to be asked now. So with that, I'll show you a video for LinkedIn as well.
And instructional design. I also have over 6 years of experience working remotely. Today, we'll be working together to help you make the most out of your free LinkedIn profile. You'll want to sign into your profile on the virtual machine, so all your work is saved and visible when you've completed this project. Let's talk just a little bit about leveraging your LinkedIn profile and using it to develop your online brand. In our increasingly digital world, creating an online business or professional brand has become an important part of our professional process. In this task, we're going to review the entirety of the profile so you're familiar with the role and impact of each section. Let's get started. First, pause the video here, sign into your profile, go to Me, and then choose View Profile so you see your profile dashboard, and then come on back. We're back. Okay. Now that we're on the dashboard, let's look at each section. First, let's take a look at our intro section. See our little pen here? This allows us to edit each section. Your picture should be one that shows your whole face and is clear and recognizable. Keeping it simple, ensuring your face is the only subject, and looking neat and professional all help optimize your LinkedIn photo. There are a few ways you can add a photo to LinkedIn, but in our second task, we'll be covering how to do it from your desktop. Next in the intro section is your headline. We'll want to optimize this for SEO searches. Because the headline has such an impact on SEO, we'll want to make sure it is properly prepped for that. We'll cover that in greater detail in our next task. Next, your current position. If you're currently employed, simply put your current job title. If you're looking, it's advisable to use consultant or freelance rather than unemployed. The former options indicate your openness to work and an active mindset, and work better than unemployed. For your location, there are 2 things to keep in mind. If you are looking for a brick and mortar position, make your location where you'd like to work rather than where you are currently located. Recruiters sometimes do searches solely based on zip codes, so if you live in Chicago and want to work in New York, using a New York zip code can help you stay in the searches. If a remote position is your goal, this simply won't impact things quite as much. Let's close this section and move on to the next section of the profile. The About section is where you take a little time to write about yourself and toot your own horn. It can be difficult to be honest about your accomplishments and what you've done. Do it here. Even though the About section isn't as heavily weighted in the SEO results as the headline, it still plays a part. The About section is also where you get to introduce yourself. Start strong with 3 sentences that leave your reader wanting more. The reader gets about 300 characters before they have to click See More. Make those characters count. Don't worry, we'll look at each section in more detail in later tasks. Featured is where you can upload documents, media, portfolio work, etc., should you decide to do that. Now we'll take a quick look at experience. You'll want to be detailed and clear here. There are a number of ways to include your experience on LinkedIn, and we'll cover those in detail in our next task. For now, know that it will be helpful to have an existing resume to fill out this section. You'll be tooting your own horn again here, so be ready. This section will be for your education. There's also an option here to indicate that a degree is in progress. Don't discount your volunteer experience either. You can add that here. Treat it with as much respect as the rest of your resume. Next is the skills and endorsements section. This is a useful section once someone is looking at your profile. You can list specific skill sets here and highlight what you have in your resume. Individuals in your network can also endorse those skills with a click. The final two sections, accomplishments and interests, continue to flesh out the picture of your professional life and interests. Great work! In this section, we've reviewed each component of your LinkedIn profile and discussed its role in supporting your online presence, persona, and brand. In our next task, we'll begin either completing each section of the LinkedIn profile or editing your section for SEO optimization. Hello, and welcome to 5 ways to build a better LinkedIn.
So in the first small video, we have seen that how to start with a LinkedIn profile and how this written communication can help you to create your job opportunities. Let's look at the second video, which will help us to further optimize our learning.
Welcome back. In our last task, we reviewed each section of your LinkedIn profile and discussed its role in supporting your online presence and persona. In this task, we'll begin the process of completing each section of the LinkedIn profile. We've already done most of the intro, but I want to quickly review your headline again. Your headline has a significant impact on the search engine optimization or SEO results. Let's talk about how to manipulate that to our advantage. If you use commas like this, the search engine will grab the entire phrase rather than individual words or phrases, since the comma is considered a grammatical separation. Using the pipe or vertical line to separate words or titles will allow the search engine to grab the individual words or phrases. This key is located on the right-hand side of most keyboards, right by the Enter key. Just hold Shift down to use it. Do some searches on LinkedIn with the language you're planning to use in your headline. See who you find, what fields they are in, and at what professional level. Look for folks who have the job you do or the job you want and tailor your headline to reflect that. I encourage you to pause the video here, conduct those searches, choose some language you want to use in your headline, and then come back. We're back. Now let's talk about our image. Of first importance is the size of your photo. According to LinkedIn, the optimal size for a vertical image is 856 by 1042 pixels. This vertical size will get you maximum real estate exposure. The same goes for horizontal. The optimal size for horizontal images is 1104 pixels by 736. This careful sizing ensures your photo displays clearly on desktops, tablets, and on mobile phones. Because of the range of devices users engage to view LinkedIn, optimizing your photo size should be a priority. Ensure that your photo meets the parameters we already talked about. To edit your image, you can either click here on the intro section edit pen, or you can click directly on your image. Once inside the profile photo, we can either delete, crop, filter, adjust, or change the photo. If you don't already have a photo uploaded, this would simply be upload photo. Keep in mind that you want consistent visual impact across devices, and remember the ideal pixel sizes. For vertical images, it should be 856 by 1042, and for horizontal images, it should be 1104 by 736. Please pause the video here and review the tools for manipulating your image. Then come on back. We're back. Just a quick reminder before we move on from this intro section, make sure that the name you have listed in your LinkedIn profile is what you plan to use professionally. Now, we'll take a closer look at our About section. There are 2 things to keep in mind about the About section. First, you want your introduction to be strong. These first 3 lines will be visible to everyone who views your profile. Keep in mind, if writing isn't your strong suit, you don't have to craft a narrative. You can summarize your work with a keyword-rich list, which is essentially what I did here. And here is an example of a summary that has a more narrative approach. This was borrowed from a LinkedIn business post covering 10 different LinkedIn users who had exemplary summary and about sections. Keep SEO in mind when you are crafting your summary and ensure it is a keyword-rich environment. Pause the video here and take a look at mine. See what keywords you can find, then come back. Search and review the types of profiles that populate your keyword searches and ensure you are using the keywords that match your goals. I encourage you to pause the video here and type in specific keywords you are considering using for your LinkedIn summary. Then come on back. We're back. Using the keywords you found most helpful on your search, outline the first few lines of your summary. Once you've gotten an idea of whether you'll be doing a narrative or a list type of summary, pause the video and sketch an outline. When you come back, we'll move on to the next section. We're back. Now we're into the meat of your profile. We're in your experience section. We want the information in this section to be clear, honest, as quantitative as we can get it, and to indicate what you can do for a company. Action verbs like serve, provide, review, develop are helpful here, as are numbers. Drawing attention to your accomplishments with quantifiable data is always useful. Remember to list your professional experience with the most recent position first. To optimize your profile, always list at least 2 previous roles or positions. This helps to strengthen your professional story or narrative and allows future employers to understand your direction. If things are a little unusual, say you went from one field to another or jumped in responsibilities, ensure you connect that to your summary about section. The LinkedIn profile is designed to create a full professional image. I encourage you to pause the video here, look over your existing resume, and see if there are areas that you can quantify. Then come on back. We're back. Great work. In this task, you looked over all your work experience, placed it in chronological order, quantified your accomplishments, and ensured you are using action verbs in your descriptions. We've identified some best practices for authoring your summary and work experience, and we've also looked over the best sizing for your image to be high quality across devices. In our next task, we'll finish.
So as we all can see that the video is being made with an intention to help the faculty members to create such a strong profile that will help them to connect academically with all the people around the globe as far as the academics is concerned. As an individual, as a professional, it's imperative that you are not only connected to the HR of universities, you are also connected to the vice chancellors, senior professors, administrative departments, and last but not least, the students of different universities. Whatever work you are doing in your day-to-day life, it should be displayed, it should be observed, it should be acknowledged by the people and the fraternity. And that LinkedIn helps you. But before start projecting your work, it is very important to create an identity. And that's exactly we have learned from this. I could have made a video on resume making. I could have talked about action verbs. However, I felt it was imperative that for faculty, for teachers, for professors, it's very important to learn this skill, because I have seen that a lot of professors and faculty members have created a profile on LinkedIn, but unfortunately they are not active on LinkedIn. So this is what will make you active, that is creating your profile, creating your network, ensuring that you connect to people as far as possible, and so on and so forth. So we'll go possibly with one more video.
We identified some best practices for authoring your summary and work experience, and we've also looked over the best sizing for your image to be high quality across devices. In this next task, we'll finish filling out the profile sections and then choose, edit, and resize a photo to meet LinkedIn ideal image standards as presented in task 2. This section is pretty simple since we'll just be entering educational background. One thing to keep in mind, though, is be honest. List any academic institutions or programs in which you enrolled, but please don't include a degree you didn't earn. You can also add activities and societies and describe what it is that you did within them. Please pause the profile sections and then choose Edit and Resize a photo to meet LinkedIn Ideal Image Standards as presented in Task 2. This section is pretty simple since we'll just be entering educational background. One thing to keep in mind, though, is be honest. List any academic institutions or programs in which you enrolled, but please don't include a degree you didn't earn. You can also add activities and societies and describe what it is that you did within them. Please pause the video here and enter your educational information and then come on back. We're back. Now, we'll move on to volunteer experience. If you've got it, list it. Treat it the same way you treated your professional experience and quantify your contributions. One way you can relate volunteer experience to professional experience is by including a contact or a supervisor from the organization where you volunteered. Future employers may appreciate being able to contact someone with whom you volunteered so they can verify as well as explain your contributions to their organization. I encourage you to pause the video here and enter your volunteer experience. We're back. Now, let's talk a little bit about skills and endorsements. Listing a variety of skills is a great idea since you can pin up to 3 to show as your primary skills. See these right here? These are the ones that will appear on your profile. If you list the skills you feel strongest in, you can rotate them out to take advantage of the full range of skills. Research the LinkedIn skills that apply to the job you have and the jobs you think you'll want. Ensure the skills you list are representative of your professional goals and direction. Pause the video here and fill out the skills section and then come on back. We're back, and we're on your accomplishments section. This menu will help you decide what from your background to include. Just below is the organization section. You can add the organization, your role, plus a description of the role. This is a great way to show your interests and how well-rounded you are. The interest section here actually shows who you follow here on LinkedIn. Great work on completing the sections. Now, onto the image. First, do you have an image that meets the professional standards we talked about earlier? Best LinkedIn practices discourage selfies, photos with other people or pets, and photos that are particularly casual. According to LinkedIn, this type of photo does not a profile image make. Now that we know what not to show, let's take a look at an example or two of what LinkedIn considers an ideal profile image. First, you'll note that this is a headshot. The subject is smiling, looks relaxed, and is professionally dressed. There are a variety of ways to interpret what it means to be professionally dressed. I always recommend neat, well-cared-for clothing that shows a pride in your personal appearance. Depending on your professional area, this really can range. If you work in media and you're behind the camera, your appearance will differ from the person doing the interviewing. I suggest a simple top and a color that complements your face. The viewer should be seeing your face first, as you are the subject of this photo. If possible, take your picture somewhere with a neutral background. If you took the picture using a smartphone, you can edit and upload it to your profile using your device. To be quite certain of how it's going to look, though, I recommend doing your photo editing and resizing on a desktop. This allows you to control the pixel ratios and ensure your photo will look its best across devices. You can edit to a certain degree within LinkedIn with the adjust, filter, and crop features, but I recommend going to Paint or whatever photo editing software you have on your desktop of what LinkedIn considers an ideal appearance. Depending on your professional area, this really can range. If you work in media and you're behind the camera, your appearance will differ from the person doing the interviewing. I suggest a simple top and a color that complements your face. The viewer should be seeing your face first, as you are the subject of this photo. If possible, take your picture somewhere with a neutral background. If you took the picture using a smartphone, you can edit and upload it to your profile using your device. To be quite certain of how it's going to look, though, I recommend doing your photo editing and resizing on a desktop. This allows you to control the pixel ratios and ensure your photo will look its best across devices. You can edit to a certain degree within LinkedIn with the adjust, filter, and crop features, but I recommend going to Paint or whatever photo editing software you have on your desktop and doing the pixel ratio work there. Remember the ideal pixel ratios I mentioned in task 2? For vertical images, it should be 856 by 1042, and for horizontal images, it should be 1104 by 736. Pause the video here, edit if you like, and resize your photo. Then come on back. We're back. Now that we've got this ideally sized photo, let's upload it to our LinkedIn profile and then come on back.
So we have learned few important things over here. We have learned about cropping our photos, having a professional photograph over here. We have learned how to add our educational details. So this is the best example where you are utilizing your written communication in the job search that can help you to communicate with the prospective employers and the HRs in the field of academics. That will help you to get not only opportunities in terms of jobs, but also the allied opportunities that are there for the academics, for the professors in the form of consulting and training, including the research work as well. So we'll quickly go on for the one more video for LinkedIn preparation.
LinkedIn profile image best practices and ideal sizing. In this task, we'll talk about identifying contacts in your network who can provide you with endorsements and testimonials to bolster your professional brand. First, let's talk about the difference between an endorsement and a testimonial on LinkedIn. An endorsement can be given by anyone in your network. Remember these skills you filled out? Someone in your network can look at your skills, click once, and endorse you for that skill. It will show on your profile right here, and anyone who looks at your profile can see it. A testimonial is a written explanation of what it is like to work with you in a professional capacity. It can be challenging to ask someone to write a testimonial for you, but I encourage you to do it anyway. Just be prepared to reciprocate with them in the future. Here is an example of what testimonials look like on a profile. If you're going to request a testimonial, ensure you are very specific in your request. I encourage you to pause the video here and look over these testimonials to get an idea of what you'll be looking for. We're back. Now that you've reviewed some testimonials, I recommend creating a template to send to your LinkedIn contacts. So when you request a testimonial, it won't be something you have to write from scratch each time. These contacts can be business peers, former clients, and current or prior supervisors. There are a variety of ways to request these testimonials. The following examples of testimonial requests were borrowed from a Boast.io article by Sam Stemler from November 2020. First is a formal email or message request. Next is a more conversational request. And finally, a follow-up request after services have been rendered. Each of these require a different approach when requesting a testimonial. Don't worry, templates are included in the document section of this project, so you'll have plenty of time to go over them. Half the testimonial battle is knowing who to ask in which scenario. I encourage you to pause the video here, go through your LinkedIn contacts, and choose a contact for the formal email-style testimonial request. Then come on back. Think about it like the LinkedIn version of Google reviews. By creating a reciprocal relationship between you and your contacts, you start expanding the social proof of your professional brand to both prospective employers or future contacts and clients. Authenticity is valued in the digital space, and LinkedIn is a great place to highlight your professional authenticity. I encourage you to pause the video here and review these excellent examples of what testimonials or positive testimonials look like on LinkedIn. And then come on back. Great work. In this task, we've reviewed the difference between an endorsement and a testimonial, identified 3 different types of testimonial requests, and identified the contact who will receive your formal testimonial request. In our next task, we'll create the formal request template, review a follow-up testimonial request, and a conversational testimonial request. Testimonial, identified 3 different types of testimonial requests, and identified the contact who would receive your formal testimonial request. In this task, we'll create the formal request template, review a follow-up testimonial request, and a conversational testimonial request. Let's get started on the formal testimonial request template. I recommend saving this template in a document on a drive or in a file accessible from your smartphone. That way you can access it at any time and simply copy and paste it into an email or LinkedIn message. I'm going to use Google Docs to build this template, but Microsoft Word will work equally well for building the template. Pause the video here and create and name your document. Then come on back. We're back. I like to use Google Docs for anything I want to access from all my devices. Now, let's go over what this formal template looks like step by step. First, your subject line. Make this simple for the reader. I usually use testimonial request and then leave a space for your name. If you're reaching out to a peer, you'll want to make a specific request like this for a testimonial about what it's like to work with you as a peer. List a few items you'd specifically like addressed and ask if that person would be willing to add their experience with you onto their LinkedIn page. See? It will end up looking something like this. Pause the video here and take a moment to look at both the template and the outcome. Remember, you are able to edit and manipulate the template as you work with it, but this is a general idea. We're back. Remember, because this is a formal request, indicate your respect for their time and energy in doing this for you and share your willingness to do the same for them. Don't be nervous about asking for a testimonial. You can also offer to do a testimonial or recommendation for them before asking them to do one for you. Authenticity is the name of the personal marketing game in the digital age, so be sure to indicate the sincerity of your offer as well. Having testimonials boosts our social proof and credibility in the online world. It also acts as the word-of-mouth reinforcement for your brand and professionalism. Keep the template short and specific so your contact doesn't feel like assisting you might be a time suck proposition. Okay, now you have a template for a testimonial request. Where do you use it? Let me show you the hidden gem on your profile page. Once you're signed in, go to your Add Profile section. Scroll down the menu until you reach Additional Information. Click, and look at that. The Request a Recommendation is hidden under Add Profile under Additional Information. This allows us to immediately indicate we'd like to request a recommendation and offers drop-downs to simplify the process. I'm going to go ahead and type in a name of one of my contacts. You would select relationship, select the position that you served with that person at the time, and you can pull any of these. This will pull directly from your profile. You would hit next, and then the option to add your template comes up right here. So I recommend you fill out your template for whoever you're going to ask and utilize this feature. Great job. Now you know you can send an email, a LinkedIn message, or a recommendation request through your profile options. Now let's review what a recommendation request might look like in a more casual situation. Perhaps you're messaging a contact or a client and they express approval or appreciation. That's a great time to send this message to them. Pause the video here and write up a similar message you can keep on hand for responding to a contact. Then come on back. Okay, now you have 2 templates in your document. Our third and final template is for a follow-up request. This could be after rendering a service to a client, or perhaps closing a sale or completing an interaction on the same contract or project. Let's take a look at how this email or message might appear. You can see what all these templates have in common is a clear recognition that you, the requester, are aware of the favor you are seeking. Just that acknowledgement can be helpful or useful in ensuring that person being asked to write the testimonial feels appreciated. If they agree and provide you a testimonial, do follow up with a thank you and a renewed offer to do the same for them whenever they would like. Great work! We have walked through the entire LinkedIn profile, filled out each section in keeping with LinkedIn SEO best practices, ensured your profile image is properly sized according to LinkedIn ideal requirements, and created templates for requesting testimonials. You have taken the first steps for fully optimizing your LinkedIn profile using best practices for LinkedIn. I hope you found this project helpful and informative in your quest to create an online.
So I think this information was useful for you, and you have learned the nitty-gritties and the nuances of communication and networking. So you utilize the verbal and the non-verbal communication in creating network, connecting with people, creating LinkedIn account and profile, and optimizing it to the best of your knowledge. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you will make the complete use of it, as the refresher program is meant for the faculty members and there's something for the faculty members to learn from this. Thank you so much.